Hello and welcome to the Make Fitness live workout. My name's Matt Gleed and I'm your master trainer, and we're going to take you through a great conditioning workout today. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to make sure that you've got a little bit of space just surrounding yourself. I do have a few movements today which is just going to require you to move from side to side and forwards and backwards, but I will show you alternatives if your space is a little bit smaller. I've also got a mat nearby me, which means it'll be a little bit more comfortable when I go down to the floor and work in our second round of exercises. Also, because it's a hot day, please make sure you've got some water and maybe a towel nearby you as well. So in today's conditioning workout, we're going to do 3 rounds of exercises, and each exercise you'll be doing work for 45 seconds, and I will give you opportunities to progress the exercises or regress them depending on your own personal level of fitness. And we'll have around about 15 seconds recovery in between each exercise, but please take as much rest as you need to, and you can always join in with us. Let's begin with a bit of a warm-up. Just start to open up your arms across your body. What we're looking to do here is just to create a bit of mobility through the shoulder and just to start to gain a little bit of activation through the upper body muscles like the chest, the shoulders, and the back as well. Now let's proceed into a rotation. So just pivoting off your feet, rotating your arms around at shoulder height. And what I want you to think about here is mobilizing through the ankles, the hips, and also through your spine, just so we can hopefully make sure that you're feeling nice and loose and feeling like you're moving well. Let's start to bring some of these muscles involved now. So start to lower your hips down towards your heels into a squat. And as you start to take this squat a little bit lower with each repetition, you also start to draw a little bit more blood to the thighs. And this will hopefully get you ready for some of our first exercises, being our lunges as well. So it's making sure that the legs are starting to feel like you're recruiting the muscles, ready for some bit of strength work coming up. Now let's take you into a step back lunge. So taking a large step backwards with equal weight between both feet, lower your back knee down towards the floor and step back up again. And we're going to alternate each leg here. So taking that large step, lower the knee down towards the floor. Now, the very first exercise we're going to do today is exactly this movement, but later on we do it as our first exercise. We're just going to use one leg for the whole 45 seconds. And then as we do the same exercise as a second time, that's when we will start to even out the work and work on each leg individually. Okay, just loosen your body up a little bit. Now let's start to get your heart rates up in this warm-up. So imagine you've got a skipping rope. I just want you to push off the floor, starting to get your calves, starting to push off your feet. We just want to get your heart rates up a little bit higher and start to progress these warm-ups for you. Now just take that movement from side to side. I'm going to give you some options later on where you can start to take yourself into some jumping and power movements. So it's important to start to get the calves ready for the workout that's going to be coming up as well. Now just scissor those feet forwards and backwards for me. Pushing off the floor, you can hopefully start to feel like your breathing is getting just a little bit warmer, getting a little bit deeper, and just starting to challenge your heart rate as it goes up a little bit higher. Okay, let's take you into a little punch combination. So bring your hands to the side of your face. I want you to jab, cross, and jab forwards. We're going to then jump 180 degrees, again, jab, cross, jab, coming forwards with those straight punches. Now, if you start to notice my feet, each time I throw those punches, I pivot off my feet to allow me to move and use my whole body. So I'm working all the way through from the foot all the way to the fist. Keeping those head height punches coming straight forwards, moving through the foot, starting to activate not only the chest, shoulder, back muscles, but also include some of the whole transverse plane muscles. So these are all the muscles that wrap around the glutes as well. Okay, just loosen yourself up. Let's take into one last movement to get your heart rate up. Pivot your feet to one side, reach your hands high for me, drive your knee high. And once you've done 3 repetitions, we pivot over to the opposite side. And again, drive your knee high on the opposite movement. And what we're looking to do here is not only encourage this big range of movement in your hips, but we're also looking to try to get the heart rates to come up a little bit higher. And this will start to prepare us for that first exercise we're going to do, which is the step back lunge. Let's do one more set each side with these high knees. And then we're going to go into our first exercise, being the step back lunge on a single leg. So starting in 10 seconds, let me just help you with that technique again. Standing with your feet together, a large step backwards, lower the back knee towards the floor, and step back up again. Just on one leg, let's get moving. As you lower your knee down towards the floor, don't worry about it touching the floor. We just want it to work within a safe range of movement. I don't want you getting a bruised kneecap where your knee goes too low. Eyes looking straight ahead. Maybe there's a reflection. Maybe there's a mirror or a bit of glass that you can just gauge whether your technique is good. I'm looking for your back to be straight and maintain a nice smooth movement. Now you've got 15 seconds coming up, so let me give you a little progression if you want to. What we can start to do is stay in this lower position. And I'm still just using that single leg. What we're going to do is a second circuit of these exercises. So when we do that, we'll do the opposite side. So just stay in that low position. Okay, and relax there. Let's take you into our second exercise today. It's called a kick sit. Hands are coming down to the floor. And what you're going to do is pivoting on your forefoot, you're going to sit down next to your hands, bring your feet back up into the center, and then over to the opposite side. Now, again, you've got two options to do this exercise. You can keep your hands on the floor, or alternatively, lift one hand off the floor, and that creates a little bit more space for you to rotate into. So this will facilitate you if you've got a little bit of stiffness in your back and hips, where if you want to really challenge your mobility, keep both hands down onto the floor, and you're going to have to work a little bit harder to try and manipulate your foot as it kicks through and over from one side to the other. Now, in terms of tempo, you can work as quickly as you want to doing these exercises. All I'm trying to encourage you to do is just to work a fairly regular movement to your level of ability. Now, the third exercise we're going to do is I'm going to create a little bit of space to move into, and we're going to do an exercise called a bear crawl. So hands down onto the floor, directly underneath your shoulders, and your feet are tucked under and knees directly under the hips. Lift the knees off the floor, and opposite hand and foot travel forwards. When you get to the farthest range of movement you can, start to push through your hands and travel backwards, and then just start to move from one side to the other. So opposite hand and foot move. Your eyes are looking down towards your hands. Keep control. Keep your back as straight as possible. Keep that controlled movement. Push through the arms as much as possible so you're in a strong position. Keep that straight spine. Keep pushing through and relax. So let's have a look at those two exercises right at the beginning again. So remember we did the step back lunge. We're now going to focus on the opposite side. So I'm going to stand and face the opposite direction. Again, just using that single leg and step back up. Let's get going for 45 seconds. So now we know the exercises. You get to pick if you want to go into the intense movement straight away and you want to take this movement into a low position. That's absolutely fine. Or you can step all the way up again. I'll let you know when the last 15 seconds is. And that way then you can start to even out both sides working at the same intensity as well. So keeping the back straight, eyes looking straight ahead, equal weight being put through both feet. Now your last 15 seconds, if you want to make it a little bit harder, keep into that lower position as well. There is still equal weight going through both legs, and you're still looking for that big depth, but you just don't stand up as much. This makes your quadriceps work a little bit harder. Okay, let's get ready for that kick sit. Remember, hands can stay down on the floor, or one hand can lift up as you pivot over to the side. And think about sitting and face 90 degrees away from where your hands are. Let's get moving from one side to the other. So remember the options. Hands can come off the floor, or you can keep your hands down on the floor. Just depends on your available range of movement. The whole goal here is mobility work and stability through the shoulders, where you're starting to engage a lot of muscles in a conditioning way. A lot of the exercises we do in these workouts, they're not designed to necessarily build muscle. We're just working the muscles so they keep good tone and keep an appropriate amount of strength, movement, and good health to them as well. Okay, relax there. Let's get you ready for those bear crawls. So again, crawl forwards and backwards. Get you set up. Remember how much range you've got is going to obviously determine how far you travel. Hands underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips, straighten through the spine. Knees come off the floor, alternate hand and leg across the body. Eyes looking down, Back staying as straight as possible. Take your time. You'll find if you start to rush these, what happens is your head starts to go down and your hips start to go up. We want to try and keep control. This turns the exercise into a bit of a core exercise where you're starting to work as you move the hand and the foot through and engage in the core movements. It's a hot day outside, so hopefully if you need a little breather, you're taking one at any appropriate time that you need to. Okay, relax there. So I'm going to grab a mat and let's get ready for our second round of exercises. Starting off with a side plank. So join in whenever you're ready. We're going to get your elbow underneath the shoulder, feet stacked upon each other, and we'll go straight up. We're going to hold for 20 seconds. Then I'll give you just enough time to transition over to the opposite side. Keep your hips pressed up high, fist reaching up towards the ceiling or the sky if you're enjoying a bit of the sunshine today. Hold that position as strong as you can. Okay, lower the hips down, quick transition to the opposite side, feet stacked upon each other, hold yourself up. Again, holding that strong side plank position, fist reaching up high, hips pressed up, trying to keep a nice straight line through the body. Last 5 seconds to go. Then we're going to lie onto your backs for a V-sit exercise. So the longer your arms and legs are in this exercise, the harder it's going to be. So if we can extend your arms and legs, that would be great. As you exhale, you're going to reach your fingertips and toes together and inhale as you lower yourself back down. And let's get working. Exhale, reach up. Inhale, lower down. Good. Keep that controlled movement. We don't want to rush these core movements at all. Whenever you're working on the core, keep control. So thinking about lowering those legs down slowly. And if it starts to feel like it's losing a little bit of the form, bend your knees and elbows and bring your knees and elbows then together. And that just reduces the lever length that you're working with. So to make it harder, extend arms and legs. To make it slightly easier, just shorten that range of movement that you're working in. Think about trying to lift the shoulder blades off the floor. Okay, now let's turn you over onto your front. Now the next exercise is a toe reach. So let's get you set up into a press-up position. You're going to reach and touch your toe. Bring your hand back and alternate to the opposite side. And then the hand lifts out in front of you and alternate to the other side. Let's put all that together. So reach the toe, back to a press-up position. Opposite toe. Now reach your hand up off the floor and then the opposite side. Now as you start to flex through the hips, your bum goes up, your head comes down. And then when you lift your hand, I want you to try to keep your hips as still as possible. So now we mobilize through the hips. Now we stabilize through the hips. So we're constantly trying to challenge your core in different ways. So this is a toe reach to a Superman position. A bit like when Superman jumps off the earth, flies into the air, he lifts his arm and then reaches forwards. And relax there. Okay, let's take you through those 3 exercises again. Starting with the side plank, 20 seconds on each side. There will be that quick transition in the middle as well. So feet stacked upon each other. Elbow underneath your shoulder, fist of fury reaches up. So from the floor to the fist, try to extend your body. Keep it as long and as tall as possible. Hold that strong position up high. Good work. Keep that long, tall position. Just hold it here for another 5 seconds. Then we have the quick transition over to the opposite side. Don't let the hips start to sag. Okay, here it is. Quick transition over, straight up into the opposite side. Your feet are stacked upon each other, fist away from the floor, reaching high up into the air. Keeping that hip pressed high. Try not to let them sag at any time. Sometimes you can think about squeezing your butt cheeks and your thighs together tightly. That will make the exercise a little bit harder, but it keeps your form really well. Okay, relax there. Let's get you to lie down on your backs with the V-sits. So again, straighter the arms and straighter the legs, the harder this exercise is going to be. If you want to reduce the limb length, that will make it slightly easier. Let's get going in 3, 2, exhale as you reach up. Inhale as you lower yourself back down. And again, exhale as you reach up. Maintain control as you lower. Think about lifting the shoulder blades up off the floor, reach up high, and then lower yourself back down. As it's a core control exercise, we want to make sure that you really are lowering back down slowly and not just collapsing or dropping. That's where the core really starts to get stronger. It's through that movement, lowering back down again. So think about reaching up high to either the ceiling or the sky. Even though your fingertips are heading towards your toes, it's actually upwards you want to reach. Last 5 seconds of work, so at least one more repetition. Inhale as you lower yourself back down. Let's turn over onto your fronts, ready for those toe reaches with the Superman again. So remember, once you've reached, we lift one arm at a time, and that's where your hips are really focused on staying stable. 3, 2, let's go. Reach towards the toe. Once you've alternated that, then the hand comes off the floor, and your goal is not to shift the hips from side to side. Let's go again. Reach towards the toes. And then lift the hand slowly. It's almost about mobility and then stability. Now that will give you a really good core workout. It's almost like just teasing you into doing a plank position, but it's a little bit more interesting than just staying still. So keep working on these movements. A great way to strengthen up your lower back to make sure that you're holding good posture and good form. And it translates across lots of different exercises to be able to maintain that active position in this plank position as well. Okay, relax there. Now I'm going to keep the mat because the next exercise we're going to have a look at is called a T press up. So the first one, I'm going to show you this press up on your knees, but you can always progress it onto your toes as well. So lower your chin, chest, and stomach onto the floor, push yourself back up, then come up into a T position. So it's like our side plank that we've done before. Bring yourself back down. Let's go again. Lower chin, chest, and stomach to the floor. Push yourself off the floor, lift up onto your toes if you can, and you just pause up in that T position just for a second, just so we can maintain that really strong core position as well. Now, my focus is obviously lowering you down right to the floor. You quite often see people doing some sort of a press up or push up where their range of movement is actually quite shallow. So really think about getting down to the floor and then pushing off the floor in a strong plank-like position. Lift yourself tall, pause for a second, and then bring yourself back down. Okay, now let's bring you up to a standing position. As this is the third round, we do want to push your heart rates a little bit higher. So let me show you the next exercise. It is a squat, a pulse, and then you're going to jump forwards and back. So squat, pulse, jump, and back. Now, each time you go into these movements, try to move fairly quickly, but with depth as well. And if you would like to make this exercise a little bit easier, you could just do a basic squat. So that would be your easier option. And if you want to make it a little bit harder, squat, pulse with a little bit more tempo, and get back into that deep position as quickly as you can. This will send your heart rates back up. This will start to feel like your legs are burning a little bit. I can already start to feel mine, especially after this morning's workout. I'm looking forward to the 5 o'clock one again. Let's keep you moving. Keep down low. Push yourself into these positions and relax there. Okay, now, the last exercise we're going to do today is going to be some power lunges. Now, remember, we earlier did a step back lunge, which is your alternative if you need to. Okay, if not, we're going to jump from one position through to the opposite side. So let's get going for 45 seconds. So the back knee comes down towards the floor. Strong position, feet, push off and switch the legs. So remember, if this is too much for your knees or it doesn't feel comfortable, reset yourself and maybe just go into those step back lunges or any other variation that you need to take. You've got 15 seconds to go. Push off out of that deep position, switch the legs and reset. Just making sure you're maintaining your balance. This can be where the reflection or something to look at can help you a lot. Let's go down to the floor. Those heart rates will start to come down a little bit as we do this next movement. This is the T press up again. So the press ups can be on your knees or your toes. And let's get ready. Let's go for this. Now, again, you're trying to get your chin, chest, and stomach down to the floor. Be strong as you push away. pause in that T position just for a second. Keep that stable position. Remember, your option is to go to your knees. You're looking for that depth of range of movement all the time. Keep strong. Pause at the top of the movement just a little bit. You might need to adjust your feet. That's quite often needed as well. Okay, let's bring you back up to a standing position. Squat, pulse with the jump now. So you now know the movement. You can hold the squat just up and down in position, or you've got that squat, pulse, jump forwards and back. Starting in 3, 2, let's go. Squat, pulse, just a little jump forwards and backwards. Just a quick movement just to help the heart rates come back up. Deep position as well. Try and get that depth. Now, do you remember in the squats that we did in our warm-up, we talked about keeping the back straight. So try and make sure your back is straight, your knee is over the top of your feet. 15 seconds of work. So if you want to start going quicker than me to help push your fitness a little bit more, I invite you to try and speed up. See how many more times you can overtake me. And relax there. The last exercise of the day, we're back to those power lunges. Let's get you set up. If you were doing the step back lunge earlier, you would just work the other side now. Starting in 5, 3, 2, let's be strong here. 45 seconds of work. Then I'm going to take you through a few yoga moves just to help stretch out your body so you can take away some of the tension that you've been building. Deep knee position. Equal weight between the feet, back stays straight, looking straight ahead of you to maintain that balance. I love doing this exercise. I think it's a great exercise, especially for runners as well. Gives you really good conditioning and good balance, stability. Last 5 seconds coming up. Work as hard as you can. Last couple of repetitions. And relax there. Great job. Well done. Let's let your heart rates come back down as we go down to the floor. Grab yourself a drink. Now, the first move we're going to look at is an up dog. Bringing your hands underneath your shoulders. The weight is over into your hands. Lower your hips towards the floor. And you can see I'm resting my knees down. Eyes look up. Roll your shoulder blades back and down. Hold here. Now from here, tuck in the toes under the body, push for your hands and look towards your toes as your hips go high. And again, move the hips forwards, hold that hip flexor stretch here. This is your up dog position again. Now this time I've got my knees off the floor. And then from here, push back to downward facing dog. Excellent. Now we're just going to bring your feet together. Lift one foot up, swing the foot forwards so it's next to your hand. Now if it hasn't quite got there, physically move it, wiggle it forwards, whatever you need to do. Then reach the hand high, push the back heel away from the rest of the body. And again, from this position, think about pushing the back heel away, reaching your hand high. Now bring the hand down inside your foot, step back to downward facing dog, and then over to your opposite side. Again, reaching your arm up high, push the back heel away. And then from here, bring your hand down inside your foot again, step back to downward facing dog one last time. Rest your knees to the floor, bringing your big toes together. I just want you to drop your hips down towards your heels. And think about just walking your fingertips forwards so you create a little bit of a stretch down the sides of your back. Eyes look down towards the toes. Okay, now slowly transfer your weight back onto your feet as you stand yourself up. Roll up through your spine, each vertebrae at a time, and just shake the body out a little bit. We're going to take you into a balancing quadriceps stretch. So you can always hold on to something if you need to. But I want you to take one foot into the palm of your hand. slight bend in the standing foot, and start to develop that stretch. So think about pushing your foot into the palm of your hand and just push your hips forward slightly. Now that same foot drops down towards the floor. We swap over to the opposite side. A slight bend in the standing foot again. Excellent work. Well, I hope you've enjoyed today's workout. There's a few tough exercises there, but some really good conditioning ones. Reach the hands behind you. Lift your chin and chest toward, stretch through the chest muscles here. Think about pulling the arms away from the lower back. With your eyes looking up slightly, you just start to feel a stretch across the chest and shoulders. And let's reverse that. Bring the arms around in front of you. Pushing the chin and chest away. Chin comes down towards the chest. Now think about having a giant inflatable ball. And if you were to blow into that ball, the ball would get bigger, which means that your arms would push wider apart. And as your elbows start to create more distance between them, you can start to feel that stretch around the upper back. Brilliant. Turn the hands up tall. Side bend over to one side. Come back to the center and over to the opposite. And then slowly release that and just loosen your body up. Thank you very much for joining me for this Matrix Fitness live workout. My name's Matt. I hope you've enjoyed the class. If you've been checking out the exercises and you're looking to join us at 5 o'clock this evening, we look forward to seeing you then. And if not, we'll see you next week, 7:45 in the morning, 12 o'clock and 5 o'clock in the evening as well. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.